Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian Craig. My wife and co-host Kathy is not able to join me today, so you've got me solo. Okay, all kinds of craziness has happened that we're going to get into with President Trump at the National Association of Black Journalists today. This was an exchange that President Trump had with hostile fake news journalists like we have not seen him have in years, because in this campaign, his third presidential campaign, he's been very pleasant with reporters, no matter what they do, no matter what they say. And today, well, it got wild. The Brian Craig Show is brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing, who will never sell you a roof you do not need, online at laportaroofing.com. Okay, so I'm not going to take this in order of what happened today with Trump. I'm going to go through all of it, but I'm going to start with what President Trump dropped that was not only a big news drop. I don't think it's something he said on accident, and it has the potential to turn everything involving Kamala Harris upside down. So let's play this. This was just insane. Listen.
You have to define it for me, if you would. I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman? Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black? She is always identified as a black woman. I respect either one. I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person. Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that I think somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone. It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans have said? I really don't know. I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty. I know this lady right over there, Harris, is a fantastic person who just interviewed me at length, and we had a great interview, I think, and I heard you got very good ratings on that. Well, you told me it was the longest one of your life, so we had a good discussion.
Okay, so that's a pretty controversial thing to say right now. And since Trump first started running for president the first time, he would say things sometimes that people would have freakouts about. I like people that don't get captured, a whole bunch of other things, right? And a lot of them would sound crazy. Mouths would drop. People would question it. They would say he was this. They would say he was that. And then you would find out that in the end, he was always right. Now, yesterday, it's so interesting that Trump said that today, and that's why what I'm going to share with you next, I have two clips involving that. One is of Kamala, but before we get to the Kamala Harris one, I want to play this next clip. I saw this early this morning when I was doing my show prep before the morning show, and I didn't play it because I really didn't think it fit. And I'm glad I didn't, because now it fits perfectly. And one thing about Trump, there's a lot of things about Trump, but one thing about Trump, he's the most informed person that's ever run for president. He seems to know everything that's going on about everything, at least a little bit about it, right? Like whatever story is in the news, whatever thing is floating around and trending or maybe out there but not trending, he seems to know everything. And it's really amazing. Now, this clip I saw early this morning, it was from yesterday, but I didn't play it because I thought it was so random. But now it's very relevant because of what Trump just said about Kamala Harris. This is Judge Brown, who everyone loves Judge Brown. They may not love him today because what he said is really going to go viral after what President Trump said today at the Black Journalist Conference. Judge Brown not only knows Kamala, he knew her father. And I'm guessing that President Trump saw this, and that's what led him to say what I just played for you. So listen to this. This is Judge Brown talking about Kamala and in particular, talking about Kamala Harris's father. Listen.
And she was everybody's favorite Hindu Indian prosecutor and attorney general and senator, and now she becomes black. But, I met her daddy, a fine gentleman, Professor Harris. And the problem with her being black is Professor Harris says he's Caucasian, mixed Irish and Hindu. He doesn't have any black ancestors, but his Irish ancestors owned a lot of slaves in Jamaica and had them to work on plantation. So if mama is on the birth certificate listed as a Caucasian, daddy says he's a Caucasian Hindu and has no black ancestors, how did she get to be black?
Okay, so everyone knows that Kamala Harris's mother is Indian, from India, like India, not like Native American Indian. The father, this thing about the father being Irish, actually about 2 weeks ago started coming out because there was a story that Kamala's Irish ancestor owned a slave plantation in the Caribbean. And when the British outlawed slavery, he actually traveled to England as an advocate trying to maintain slavery in colonies because he owned so many slaves. And I thought this was interesting. I never heard about any Irish heritage before, and I heard it. So that's interesting. Didn't think too much of it. And now Judge Brown is telling us that he knew the father, and the father did not consider himself black, but mixed Irish Hindu. And I've looked up the father. You can't go by Wikipedia and everything else because that's not reliable. But if you look at the photographs of Kamala's father, it could be very true that he is Irish Hindu. Now, Kamala, when she got elected for the Senate, and then when she was running for vice president, said this.
I stand before you as the first candidate for vice president of the United States of South Asian descent.
Of South Asian descent, meaning Indian. A lot, people that are from India and other countries in that area, they've started calling themselves in the last few years Asian, South Asian. I don't know if that's always been. I just started hearing that a couple years ago. So right there, she does not say that she's black or African American. She says she's South Asian. And she said it other times in other interviews, okay? And more of these times when she said it will be, believe me, going like viral on X. So here's the question. And this question's being asked because of what President Trump said today. Is Kamala Harris passing as black? Right? Think about it. I know that sounds crazy. It used to be a long time ago during all the Democrat segregation, Jim Crow, that black people that would pass as white, right? A lot of mulatto people would pass as white because they could make it as a white person. There was all that segregation, discrimination. They couldn't get anywhere being black. But in today's society, the opposite is true. It's easier if you're a minority, right? So is it possible, I think about it, is it possible that Kamala Harris is passing as black? And there's a lot of photographs of her with her mother wearing traditional Indian clothing, with her mother, with her family, with her sister, So we might be in a situation with Kamala, much like we were in with Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren is as white as I am, as white gets, but she was passing herself off as a Native American Indian because Elizabeth Warren knew that if she passed herself off as a Native American Indian, it would help her at the university with her professorships. She did this for many years, okay? She did a DNA test. It was, she's white. She's white. So are we at the point now where Kamala Harris should take a DNA test? And, you got to be careful about that because I don't know if I would trust any result that was presented to us by Kamala Harris. But I think it's a very good question. And it is very possible that she is passing as African American. Now, immediately what people are saying is, well, wait a minute, she went to Howard University. That does not mean that Donald Trump is wrong. First of all black universities, all black colleges There are white students who go to, now they're majority black students at black colleges, but there are non-black students. There are white students at all of the historical black colleges. They're required to do it because they take federal money, student loans and all that stuff. So they have affirmative action quota for white. But if she's passing as black, it would make sense for her to go to Howard University. And I got to tell you something. Donald Trump does not just say things. I know people that hate Donald Trump think that he just runs his mouth and says crazy things. That's not the case. When he says something, it is well thought out. I think he was inspired to say that based on Judge Brown, and that I think you saw that clip that I saw early this morning. I think you saw it this morning too, because it was on social media, and a lot of people were circulating it around. I had a lot of people send it to me. Have you seen this with Joe Brown? He's saying that Kamala Harris is not black. A lot of people were sending that to me this morning, and it seemed a little out of context. So when President Trump said that today, when he saw that clip, he probably asked some people. He might have even gotten Judge Brown on the phone, Donald Trump, knowing him. And he went to, hey, listen, he's running against Kamala Harris now. So he's going to focus, on her and exposing her. And he may very well have talked to Joe Brown or others about it and went to that conference with this in his back pocket, knowing he was going to drop this and put her on the defense. One of the things Donald Trump always does, and he's the only Republican that's been able to do this with any success, he sets the narrative. He always puts people on the defensive and has them responding to the narrative that he sets out there. And what he has set out here is she may not be black. And I'll tell you, with the other interviews, when she's talked about it, like the clip I just played for you, when she says South Asian, she means Indian. South Asian is not black. It is not African American. And so far as saying, well, her father's from Jamaica, as crazy as this may sound to you guys, I knew a guy when I was in high school who was from Jamaica and he was white. Okay? The majority of people from Jamaica are not white, but there are non-white people from Jamaica. That's true with all the Caribbean islands. A lot of the Caribbean islands that are majority black, there are whites and Hispanics. If you went to Cuba, this is something that's surprising to you. Hispanics are not the majority in Cuba. Black Cubans are the majority in Cuba. They're disenfranchised. They're not in government. You don't see them too much. But they're, descendants of the slaves from the sugar plantations of Cuba way back in those days. So just because someone's Cuban doesn't mean they're Hispanic. Chances are they're black if they're in Cuba, right? So this is opening up a big door. And I know a lot of people are going to get into this birtherism thing with Obama. Remember, the birth certificate issue with Obama was not started by Donald Trump or the Republicans. It was started by Hillary Clinton. When Hillary Clinton was running against Obama in the primaries in 2008, her campaign started that. I know it was the first person to question it. I cannot remember his name, but he was one of the Hillary Clinton campaign chair people, I want to say from Pennsylvania. And we had him on the radio and we interviewed him. And he was the first person, and then the Hillary Clinton campaign were asking for Obama's birth certificate. It went years. He never produced it until Donald Trump got together with Sheriff Joe Arpaio and started asking about it. He never said he didn't have a birth certificate or wasn't born here. He was just asking for the birth certificate. And after a while, Barack Obama produced a photocopy of a document that he said was his birth certificate. He never showed anybody the original with the raised seal. He had a photocopy of it. He had a press conference about everything because of Donald Trump. Now, this issue, I don't care what anybody's saying right now, when this settles by tomorrow, people are going to start to ask this question. The first way they're going to spin it is Donald Trump's a racist. He's a racist. How dare he question her? How can he do this? What is he talking about? When the dust settles from that, people are going to start saying, well, maybe she's not. Maybe she's not. And they're going to go back to these clips like the one I just played to you, and there'll be many more because people are searching for them right now, of her saying she's South Asian. Not black, not African American, but South Asian. How many people have you ever heard say they're South Asian. It's a very bizarre thing. So Kamala Harris, she may not know it now. She may be high-fiving her campaign members and say, oh, we got him now. We got him now. But that's not the case. She'll be on the ropes about this. She's going to have to answer to this. People are going to be looking into this. And not only that, people are going to be looking into her father's background, his immigration documents, his documents in Jamaica. You know, and her father, who college professor, communist college professor, may have been doing what Elizabeth Warren was doing. It might have been easier for a black Jamaican to get the professorship at Berkeley and these radical universities than it would be for the Irish guy, all right? The Irish Hindu guy. So people are going to start to look into his background and the documents that he filled out from Jamaica through the immigration process to Berkeley and see what was on his documents back in Jamaica when he was going to school there as a kid. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, Trump was right, because he is always right, even when he says something that seems outrageous and you're like, that just can't be the case. That's crazy. He always is proven right. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about the great Mike Lindell and MyPillow. Mike Lindell has been a sponsor and supporter of this program and all of my content for many, many years. And he is offering incredible deals right now. The prices at MyPillow.com are the lowest prices you've ever seen, because since Walmart and these other big retailers kicked Mike Lindell and MyPillow off the shelves, you are getting the wholesale Walmart prices, right? I mean, these are the prices that Walmart pay. And, you know, Walmart, whenever they buy products, they get the lowest of the low because they buy in huge quantities because they're the largest retailer. Well, I don't know if they still are. Is Amazon the largest retailer? They used to be the largest retailer. So regardless, you are getting the Walmart wholesale price on all these products. That's why the $25 extravaganza continues on some of the top MyPillow products, like the MyPillow towel set that Kathy and I have. They're the best towels I've ever had. I have never had towels like the MyPillow towels. Mike Lindell says towels that actually work. What a concept. That is not just some catchphrase. You know, I have talked many times about a couple of examples that blew my mind. I spilled a 16-ounce cup of coffee on the floor here. We have tile floors in our hall, and I reached into the guest bathroom. I grabbed the MyPillow towel, which was a white one, and I dropped it on the spill. It soaked up the entire 16 ounces of coffee with creamer. I couldn't believe it. And I picked it up, and I walked it across the house to our garage where our laundry room is, inside the garage, and it held all of the coffee in it. There was not a trail of dripping coffee following me to the garage. The MyPillow towel actually absorbed and held it all in. Is that not amazing? You can get the 6-piece MyPillow towel set. It comes in many colors. There's some new colors available for just $25 with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at MyPillow.com. You can use our promo code Kane on all the specials at MyPillow.com, not just the ones I share with you, but it's promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at MyPillow.com. I want to take a quick break, and when we get back, there's a lot more to talk about, including a theory I have about Barack Obama that I want to run by you all. All right? My name's Brian. I'll be right back.
Are you ready to transform your living space with a touch of modern elegance and quality craftsmanship? Look no further than AlphaFurnishings.com. AlphaFurnishings.com is your go-to destination for premium metal and acrylic furniture legs that are truly exceptional. They have a wide range of sizes and a spectrum of vibrant colors so that you'll find the perfect match for your furniture. Their exclusive features make each furniture leg a masterpiece, just waiting to enhance your home decor. Whether you want to have a contemporary makeover of your sofa or a cabinet that's in need of chic transformation, AlphaFurnishings.com has you covered. Their goal is to make a difference in furniture design. They create innovative products that can save and modernize your furniture. They've gone from a small apartment to 2 warehouses, and they have a simple message: small spending, large return, and an instant facelift. Elevate your home with AlphaFurnishings.com. You can also find them on Etsy. Just search for Alpha Modern Furnishing. Go right now to AlphaFurnishings.com and begin your furniture transformation journey. AlphaFurnishings.com. Have you been searching and searching for the perfect action figure or toys? Your search is over with Eduardo's Toy Co. on Mercari.com. Eduardo's Toy Co. is passionate about making people happy with toys. They have everything you're looking for, from the WWE to the DC Multiverse, Harley Quinn, and much, much more. There's something for every collector and lover of toys at Eduardo's Toy Co. on Mercari.com. Need gaming electronics? They've got that too, like the Sony PSP 1000. All the prices are fair and nothing is ever overpriced. You'll also find unmatched friendliness and communication. If you have any questions or can't find what you're looking for, feel free to message Eduardo anytime and he'll get right back to you. They're perfect for gift shopping too. Visit Eduardo's Toy Co. on Mercari.com. Just go to Mercari.com and search Eduardo's Toy Co. That's Eduardo's Toy Co. on Mercari.com. Start shopping right now. From the best-selling author of Hired Gun and the cleverly titled follow-up book, Hired Gun 2, Robert Danger Workman, comes a book filled with intrigue and suspense. Maximum Prejudice, a love story. This neo-noir crime thriller will leave you on the edge of your seat if you want to uncover the secrets behind the 6 JFK shooters in Dealey Plaza. If you're curious about their locations and who didn't use a silencer, then you will want to add Maximum Prejudice, a love story, to your must-read list. When you read Maximum Prejudice, a love story, you'll discover the dark world of global elitists and take a wild ride with the president, the first lady, the speaker of the House of Representatives, the first female secretary general of the United Nations, and Nick Wolf, a New York City private investigator. Maximum Prejudice, a love story from best-selling author Robert Danger Workman, is available on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited, as well as the author's website, Hired Gun 2, that's the number 2, hiredgun2.com. Order your copy right now and join the adventure.
Hey, good morning, Brian. It's Lisa, and my husband and I received our My Pillow 2.0 that we ordered with Kane the other day, the buy one, get one free, and they're our first My Pillows, and we love them. We absolutely love them. They're just absolutely marvelous. Yeah, I'm so glad. I got slippers on the way, too.
Go to MyPillow.com and use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, and buy your My Pillow 2.0. Right now, buy one, get one free. You can also order by phone, toll free, 800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. My wife and co-host Kathy could not be with us on the program today. She'll be back with us next time. Hopefully she'll be feeling better. Before we get back to this exchange with Trump at the Black Journalist Conference today, I was talking to a caller this morning about Obama and Pelosi and Kamala, and he didn't really get what I was saying. And I thought, well, maybe I didn't explain it well. It's something that kind of popped in my head, and I wanted to run this by all of you, and you can let me know in the comments whether you think this is a possibility, okay? There was a big push for the last, month before he dropped out for Biden to drop out, right? Since that debate with Trump. Big push. And we were all talking at the time, we didn't know who they were going to plug in. There was a list of names. Kamala wasn't on that list. But, people talking about Gavin Newsom and people like that. But what we talked about at the time, Trump's unbeatable. I mean, he's ahead of Kamala in the polls. He's gained since yesterday. And you know what? This thing that happened today, he's going to gain more today when tomorrow and the next day polls come out as we approach the weekend after this Black Journalist Conference thing. And what we were talking about at the time is that this is before Biden dropped out, when the lead up to the Democrats, I felt, had accepted that they were going to lose the presidency to Donald Trump. This was before that Trump was shot, but certainly after he was shot too. I'm saying that. And it looked to me that what their polling was telling them is that they were going to get creamed in Congress. And, it's not that they were going to lose control of the House and or keep the loss of the House. The Republicans are going to win the House. We don't know what's going to happen in the Senate exactly. That's a little harder to predict because there aren't as many seats. Only a third of it's up, and you know how that goes. But it looked like that not only we're going to lose the House, maybe lose the Senate, but some of the seats of the old guard of the Democrat Party seem to be in jeopardy. Some of the party leadership that's in both houses were worried about their seats, and they wanted Biden out because their polling was telling them that some of the old guard were going to lose their seats, and they did not want that to happen. You know, it's very rare for the Mitch McConnell types to lose. No matter how bad a party loses, the leadership, for the most part, always seem to maintain their positions. I'm talking about the people that have been there like 30 years, 40 years. They're afraid they're going to lose their seats. So they wanted Biden out because he was hurting them in those congressional districts and plug anyone in, right? We were talking about that. So you've all heard that Obama called Joe and said, okay, we got together with Kamala and the cabinet. If you don't drop out of the campaign, they're going to invoke the 25th Amendment. That's what the call was with Obama and Biden, and he did it. Well, what we learned this week, which was confirmed and reported in multiple sources, and you can look this up yourself, that there was a little more to that conversation than just that. That Obama told Biden, he said, if you don't drop out of the race, they're going to invoke the 25th Amendment and remove you from office, which is a humiliating thing. And Obama also said, don't endorse anyone, in particular Kamala. He said she can't beat Trump. Don't endorse Kamala. We're going to have the mini primary at the convention, and we'll decide who the nominee is at the convention. Obama told that to, and I'm sure Jill was on the phone too, told that to Jill and Joe. And they got off the phone, and what happened? Biden did the opposite, right? He did drop out of the race, but he endorsed Kamala Harris. And if you remember, the Obamas and Pelosi and Schumer, who were the leaders of the party, the three of them, took a few days to endorse Kamala. All these other Democrats were endorsing her, and they took a while to do it, remember? Didn't happen right away, and then eventually they did. And what I was talking to this caller about this morning on the radio that I wanted to run by you, because he didn't seem to get what I was saying, and I want to explain this to you and see if you think there's any possibility that what I'm talking about is true. The three leaders of the Democrat Party are the Obamas. Barack and Michelle are one, Nancy Pelosi, and Schumer. With the Obamas at the top, Barack's at the top, Nancy's a close second, and then Schumer is, third in line, fourth if you include Michelle. They're the party bosses. They decide everything. And if you need proof of that, just look at what's happened over the last 6 weeks or so in the Democrat Party. It's always, what does Obama want? What does Pelosi want? Those two have decided everything, if you've noticed. She's not even speaker anymore. He's a former president. If Kamala were to become president, or anyone else that's a Democrat were to become president, the president is automatically the leader of their party. And when the party does not have a president, the most recent former president of the party is the leader of the party. That's the way it works. Donald Trump is the leader of the Republican Party, as an example. Barack Obama is the leader of the Democrats, closely followed by Pelosi. And third, Schumer's a hanger-on. If Kamala were to become the Democrat president, Obama and Pelosi would no longer be leaders of the Democrat Party. It would be Kamala and her husband and their crew. And their handpicked people. Schumer would be out too, of course. And if you remember, before Obama was president, Bill and Hillary Clinton were the party bosses. And now there are a couple has-beens that no one cares about because the Obamas came up. You understand? So what I was talking to this caller about today, as crazy as this may sound to you, I have no doubt that Trump is going to win, and he has no doubts in his mind he's going to win. He has no fear of Kamala. You could see this at this black journalist thing today with all the things he said. He has no fear of Kamala. He knows he's going to win. But I do not think that Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi want Kamala to win. Because if Kamala were to win, they would no longer be the party bosses. And if you remember back in 2010 is when the Tea Party was coming up, right? There was those midterm elections in 2010 with the Tea Party people. And the Republican establishment were working against the Tea Party members running for Congress. They didn't want them to win. And we were talking about it back in 2010. I can't believe it's been 14 years, but we were talking about it back then, saying the Republican establishment would rather control the loss than lose control of the party and win, right? They'd rather control the loss than lose control of the win. And that's what's going on with the Obamas and Pelosi. Obama wants to stay the boss of the party. Pelosi does too. And the other thing with Pelosi, remember, Pelosi's a big snob, right? Her and her husband. Pelosi first met Kamala when she was introduced to her as, oh, this is Willie Brown's girlfriend. Okay? So Nancy Pelosi thinks of Kamala Harris in a very sleazy way, which Kamala earned that. You're out there dating a married man. What are people to think of you? There's no way that Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi are going to walk behind and answer to Kamala Harris and her weirdo husband. Now, so I don't think that Barack and Pelosi are even going to vote for Kamala. Now, that does not mean they're going to vote for Trump. They may leave it blank on their ballot. We will never know. But I do not believe that they want her to win because they'll lose control of the party. They want her to lose, and they want her to lose in a humiliating defeat. So even as the former vice president and as the nominee, that she won't have any power or influence, and they'll still control the party. I know that sounds nuts, but I want to know, I think it makes perfect sense. And I think if you think about it, no matter how nutty it may sound, I think you'll agree with me that as insane as that sounds, that quite possibly is the way to. So let me know in the comments what you think about that. I'm very curious to know. And I hope I communicated it better, and I hope you understand exactly what it is I'm saying. Now, I want to talk a moment about Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. You know, he has been with us for a long time. We first met Tom Laporta because Steve Kane needed a new roof. You know, Steve had a wet spot on his ceiling, and he did the opposite of what you're supposed to do. He saw a wet spot on his ceiling, which means you have a leak in your roof, and he ignored it. It was a little tiny wet spot. It was about the size of a quarter, and it got bigger, it got bigger, it got bigger. And then he started having wet spots all over the place. And he waited, and we were talking about it on the air, and then we met Tom Laporta. And because Steve did not get his roof repaired when he saw that first wet spot, not only did he need a whole new roof, there had been so much damage to his house that he needed walls replaced, 40% of the drywall in his home because of the moisture from the leaks in the roof had been infected with deadly black mold. Termites had spread in his house. They were eating his house. It was just terrible. It was a lot of work. If he would have just called Tom Laporta when he saw that first wet spot on his ceiling, Tom Laporta, who will never sell you a roof you do not need, would have done the repair, and that would have been it. But he ignored it, and it was a lot of problems. You know, Tom, if you need a new roof, he'll do the new roof. But if you don't and you just need the repair, he'll do the simple repair. Laporta Roofing works with every type of roofing material there is, and also works on every type of structure. Single-family homes, no matter how small, no matter how large. Apartment buildings, condos. He deals directly with HOAs. If you have an HOA, he works on municipal buildings, churches, schools, warehouses, office buildings, whatever type of structure it is and whatever type of roofing material it is, Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing handles it. Covers pretty much the whole state of Florida. Give him a call, and the number he gives is his cell phone number. Okay, so this number is Tom Laporta's cell phone. You can call or text him. All right, his number 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. Make sure you tell him I told you about him, and I'll appreciate that. LaportaRoofing.com. Okay, in the next segment, I'm going to get back to this incredible conference that President Trump had with the black journalists. We'll get more into that, play some of the audio from it. I'm Brian Craig. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to cleanse not just your skin, but your soul too? Then visit sparkle2clean.com. That's the number 2. Sparkle2clean.com is your destination for all natural beauty and wellness. Sparkle2clean.com offer handmade soaps as well as skincare products that are crafted with nature's wisdom as well as modern science. Their divine radiant soap is enriched with the golden wisdom of turmeric. It purifies your skin and your spirit, washing away negativity and leaving you radiant. The Sun-Kissed Apricot Bliss Soap is a luscious journey into skin-nourishing bliss. It lets the natural goodness of apricots gently exfoliate and hydrate your skin. It'll leave it silky smooth and refreshed. Sparkle2clean.com also have a line of holistic skincare products that nourish not only your skin, but also uplifts your spirit and awakens your inner essence. It's time to embark on a journey where skincare becomes a sacred ritual. Illuminate your true essence with products designed to restore balance and harmony to your life. Visit sparkle2clean.com. More than just skincare, it's a spiritual experience. Sparkle2clean.com, illuminating your inner spirit. Married men, listen up. How's your love life with your wife? Are you still seeing eye to eye? How's your communication with your wife? Do you feel you're losing her? If you answered yes and you're feeling hopeless in your marriage, it's time for a change. And the new book from author Wendy Reyes will give you the help that you need. From Hopeless to a Confident Man, available on Amazon. From Hopeless to a Confident Man offers 25 simple, secret keys to show the love of your life that you can become the man of her dreams once again. With this must-read book, you'll learn how to think and act like a confident man, improve your relationship, and enhance your overall lifestyle with your family. Each step will help you navigate specific situations with your partner so that you can foster a better, loving, and respectful relationship. Don't lose hope. Everyone deserves a second chance. Order your copy of From Hopeless to a Confident Man from author Wendy Reyes on Amazon, available in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Are you looking for that perfect personalized gift? Then check out MAUSA Co. on Etsy.com. They have everything from custom portraits and magnets to stickers, mugs, tumblers. They also offer sweatshirts and tote bags. And that's just the beginning of their incredible inventory. Send in a photo of your pet and they'll create a beautiful digital portrait or poster just for you. And soon, their Christmas ornaments will be available. Enjoy discounts of up to 50% each and every day. Start shopping right now at MAUSACO.Etsy.com. That's MAUSACO.Etsy.com. You can also find them on Instagram and Pinterest. MAUSACO.Etsy.com. Are you tired of skincare routines that promise results, don't work, and may be compromising your health without you even knowing it? It's time to wake up and discover the truth with the new book from board-certified dermatologist Dr. Yuval Bibi, MD, PhD. Sick Skin, Skincare Made Simple. Available on Amazon. In Sick Skin, the author shares the shocking truth that the skincare industry is filled with deceptions. How do these products manipulate us into thinking we need them? In Sick Skin, you'll discover the secrets the skincare industry doesn't want you to know, their hidden strategies, the myths, and you will learn to free yourself from the industry's grip. Dr. Bibi also shares the language of your skin to interpret the signals your skin sends you. You'll learn exactly what your skin needs and what to avoid for optimal health. After you read Sick Skin, you'll have the power to take control of your skin's health. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Available in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook. Sick Skin, Skincare Made Simple, from author and dermatologist Dr. Yuval Bibi, MD, PhD. And begin your journey to genuine skin health. Sick Skin, Skincare Made Simple, on Amazon.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. My wife, Kathy, is under the weather and unable to make the podcast today. Hopefully, she'll be back with us next time. Okay, so let's get back into this exchange President Trump had at the National Association of Black Journalists. This ABC reporter, Rachel Scott, I've never heard of her before. I don't watch ABC News. But it was her, a reporter I'm also not familiar with, and Harris Faulkner. And this event was set to be hostile because Trump posted on Truth Social, and I saw people on X took screenshots of his post and were putting this on X. He was 35 minutes late, and when he was 30 minutes late, President Trump posted to Truth Social, I'm 30 minutes late. It's not my fault. They can't get their sound equipment working. Right? And he didn't want people to think that he was holding them up, which I thought was pretty interesting. But I knew that would set them off, okay? Because, the National Black Journalists Association, very liberal. The journalists are liberal anyway, and a group like this, they're even more liberal than the other liberal ones. And, you knew there was going to be a lot happening. So he came out, and this girl from ABC News that was taking the lead, Rachel Scott, she did an introduction, and she seemed before President Trump came out, she seemed very professional. She had that voice and tone that is standard with TV journalists, and she was very articulate, very interesting. And then she introduces Trump. She comes out. You could tell there's some sound problems. There's some feedback and things like that. And she's sitting closest to Trump. And instead of asking a question, I want to play the audio. She goes through this long list of attacks on him that was just bizarre. I mean, it was just vile venom that she was hurling at him. And I've never seen anything like it. And either has President Trump. Listen.
Not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir.
Now, I'm not going to stop this anymore, but this thing about the white supremacist, that punk kid showed up at Mar-a-Lago. Trump didn't know who he was, and he was with Kanye West. And Kanye West rang the door bell at the gate at Mar-a-Lago. Trump let Kanye in, and he had Nick Fuentes with him. And Trump didn't know who he was. And you know what? This ABC News reporter, Rachel Scott, she knows that. Everybody knows what happened there. Trump was set up by Kanye West, and that's what happened, okay? But they make it sound as if he invited a white supremacist over to sit down and have lunch with him at Mar-a-Lago. That is not what happened at all. So far as the other comments, he talking about Tlaib and, and some of these prosecutors that are going after him, Fannie and all that. You guys know. But anyway, let's get back to this.
Now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something
Mr.
was
President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
if you
it's
can
a
answer the
very nasty question.
And why
I have answered the question.
Trust you with another 4
I have
years.
been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act.
For you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
I mean, that was absolutely amazing. I mean, we haven't seen Trump like that really in years. You know, he used to be like that all the time. And in this campaign, he's been polite to the press. He hasn't been arguing with the press. And I think he decided, going back and forth with the press was a waste of time. It did nothing but make a lot of them famous. It was not productive, and he's been very polite, very reasonable, almost out of character with the press. It's the first time we've seen him like this, maybe since he left the White House after his first term. I don't know. But, this reporter, everything he said about her question was right. It was not a question. It was a list of charges, a list of grievances, a list of attacks. And what she really is suffering from is stage 4 Trump derangement syndrome. And she knew she was going to have this opportunity to sit next to Donald Trump and ask him questions. And she got worked up by herself, by her colleagues, by her friends, by her family, that she had to go in there and stop this guy, because this woman, Kamala Harris, can be the first female president, and she's a minority, and this is history, and you need to go in there and take him down. And I don't know what possessed her to think that she would be able to take Donald Trump down. He's gone up against some of the most seasoned reporters in the history of television journalism, and he's filleted them in interviews. He did that town hall with Caitlin Collins months ago on CNN, and it went in a similar fashion. And I was watching this with Kathy, and this reporter, she's pretty, she's a TV reporter, she's pretty. She, I don't think, has ever had a man talk to her that way, right? Never. I think she was in shock. Because what happens with these people is when they have the Trump derangement syndrome going on, they get wrapped up in this stereotype that they have of Donald Trump, as opposed to what Donald Trump really is, what he's really said, and what he's really like. And they go in there worked up and angry, whoever it is, and they lose every time. One thing I learned early on when it comes to debating people, because, I debate people on the air, taking live calls, screenless, and I'm always having to debate and support my positions, is don't lose your cool. When you lose your cool, you lose your train of thought. And I've had this happen to me, on the air. Something that hasn't happened in years. But when I was younger, and she's younger, and she's not all that experienced, and I was less experienced, I would get into debates and discussions with people on the air, callers or guests or other radio personalities, and I'd get angry. And when you get angry, it has an effect on your mind that's kind of like being drunk, like intoxication. You lose control. And when they had that exchange, I saw the look on her face throughout the rest of it. She was livid. She couldn't see straight, and she was never able to recover. Now, what her friends, colleagues, and family and everyone will tell her, they'll high-five her and said, you exposed him, you got everything out, and then you got him to say this thing about Kamala, and it's over. None of that is true. No matter, Now, like many other reporters, Jim Acosta as an example, she's now going to get elevated. She's going to be promoted. She's a lot more famous today than she was before this event. I don't know if she's in touch with reality enough to understand that Trump has just elevated her, but she's been elevated and she's a lot more famous now. So this exchange, it was very, very bizarre. The White House press briefing started right after this event started. And I couldn't believe how fast this happened. One of the White House reporters asked Jean-Pierre her response very specifically to that opening exchange with Trump and that ABC reporter.
If I can ask you about something that's happening at the NABJ right now, Donald Trump is speaking to some of the reporters who assembled there, and right out of the gates there was what can best be described as a contentious exchange where the former president said, I'm asking this through the lens of someone who represents the president, vice president, not someone who has to speak as a campaign question. He says of Kamala Harris, the vice president, she was always of Indian heritage and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago, and she happened to turn black, he said, and now she wants to be known as black, so I didn't know, is she Indian or is she black? Wow. She is always this is unclear. I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she went black. Your response to those comments?
He is a candidate, so I'm going to be super careful. Wait, no, hold on. I have more to say. I certainly have more to say. As a person of color, as a black woman who is in this position that is standing before you at this podium behind this lectern, what he just said, what you just read out to me is repulsive, it's insulting, and no one has any right to tell someone who they are, how they identify. That is no one's right. It is someone's own decisions. It is.
See, that's an interesting thing that Jean-Pierre says. Well, I shared this clip. Let me just rewind it a little bit. What she said was her words were chosen quite carefully. And I'll tell you, it seemed to me Jean-Pierre was expecting this question.
What's read out to me is repulsive. It's insulting. And, no one has any right to tell someone who they are, how they identify. That is no one's right.
It is not anyone's right to tell them how they identify. She didn't say, that's absurd, she's black. She said, like all this gender stuff, they have men boxers boxing women at the Olympics. I'm not watching, but I've heard about it. Right? She said, what Jean-Pierre just said, your skin color, your ethnicity is whatever you identify as. It's not what you actually are. Does that mean that I can identify as black? Can I identify as Hispanic? Am I white only if I say so? And it's interesting that Kamala, my response, if she's black, my response, of course she's black. Like if he made this comment about Jean-Pierre, you would say, well, look at her. You can see she's obviously black. But that's not what Jean-Pierre said about Kamala.
Standing before you at this podium behind this lectern, what he just said, what you just read out to me is repulsive, it's insulting, and no one has any right to tell someone who they are, how they identify. That is no one's right. It is someone's own decisions. It is
someone's own decisions or grammar's law, but it is one's own decision what skin color you are. I thought we were born what our skin was, but now you can make that decision and identify with whatever ethnicity, whatever skin color you want to be. This is new to me. Have any of you heard this before? This is new.
It's repulsive. It's insulting. And, no one has any right to tell someone who they are, how they identify. That is no one's right. It is someone's own decisions. I'll add this. Only she can speak to her experience. Only she can speak to what it's like. She's the only person that can do that. And I think it's insulting for anybody. It doesn't matter if it's a former leader, a former president. It is insulting. And we have to she is the vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris. We have to put some respect on her name.
Oh, really? They wouldn't even say his name when he was in his first term. Some of them still won't. So she did not once say Kamala Harris is black. Kamala Harris is African American. Of course she's black. She did not once say that. And when she was answering that question, I don't know, maybe it's just a habit she has, but she was looking down at the podium as if she was reading something. So I don't know I was watching the Trump event, so I don't know what the timing was between that opening exchange and this. Did she have time to see it, to be briefed, to be prepared? I don't know. But I do know this, that Jean-Pierre did not once say Kamala Harris is black. She says it's a person's decision what ethnicity they are. It's a person's choice what skin color they are. That's the first time I've ever heard that in my life. And you probably too. This is a very interesting thing. This campaign is this was a beautiful day. And I was excited. I hope we see more of this kind of Trump. You know, Corey Lewandowski's book about Trump was called Let Trump Be Trump. And I feel like that some of the advisors have told him he needs to tone it down when he's doing TV interviews. And I think surviving an assassination attempt has had an effect on him. And he's like, I'm going to be me, you know, and let Trump be Trump. And today was one of those days that Trump was Trump. And look at the energy. And, you know, I'll tell you, that room, which was mostly black journalists, not everybody in there agreed or supported him through the entire exchange. But a lot of people did, didn't they? I was surprised how many of the black journalists in there were agreeing with President Trump on a lot of the very controversial things he said, including that about Kamala Harris. Now, those of you that are Patreon supporters, thank you so much for your support of the program. And remember, Patreon supporters, you have exclusive access to commercial-free editions of all episodes of the podcast. And every time we do a podcast, I upload the commercial-free edition to the Patreon page. So if you go there, you'll see it. And you get the commercial-free edition of the Brian Craig Show podcast right there every time we upload a new episode. And Kathy and I do post a lot of things up there that we post nowhere else. Sometimes I'll ask our Patreons their opinions on things, that are on my mind. Kathy posts a lot of, and I do too, a lot of personal things we don't show others. So when you're a Patreon supporter, you get access to a lot of things no one else does, including the commercial-free edition of each and every podcast episode. Also, our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode. So the names you'll hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Richard, Alice, K-Mac, LeeZep, Shawna, Constance, George, Brandon, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, Christy R, and John S. Thank you so much. Now, if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this episode on whatever platform you are listening to us on. And thank you all for your support. Well, that's all the time that I have for today. I hope Kathy will be feeling better and join us on the next podcast episode. I'm Brian Craig without my wife.